Hello everybody, how are you doing? My name is King Mats.
My name is Janepher Mujumbi.
She is one of the co-founders of Diverse Minds Uganda, and she is here to tell us exactly what Diverse Minds is all about. And also at the same time, this is the very first episode that we are starting, but we are going to be having a series of episodes where different people are going to be giving us their part of the story. So you just need to press the subscription button and make sure you roll with us. Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. Thank you, Mats.
Nga weetegese nnyo.
Bunange. Mwagala ndakwe twetimbe ku maaso.
Kindly tell everyone who is watching us right now who you are.
I am a lawyer by profession. I'm a mother of two beautiful boys, Analongo.
Okay.
Like Matt said, I'm one of the co-founders of Diverse Minds Uganda, and I'm a strong advocate for neurodivergent individuals. These ones include like people with autism and other neuro disorders.
What does Diverse Minds Uganda do, and where is its concentration?
Like I said, I have twin boys, and they have a condition called autism. I don't know. I think you've heard of autism, of course. Sure. Autism spectrum disorder. I don't live in Uganda. I live in UK. As a family, we've been through a lot of struggles, and you go through a lot of things. But eventually, I know the things that have helped me to get where we are, us as a family and the children in their development. Okay. So I realized most of the services are not in Uganda. So the whole purpose of starting Diverse Minds was to bring those things that have enjoyed, those things that have saved our lives, basically.
In the UK.
To bring them in Uganda, like to integrate these individuals, because there's a lot of stigma, to end the stigma, for people to know that it's not the end. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot of support that these people need. So that's the whole purpose. That's the whole purpose, like to support families with people with living with such conditions, to advocate for them, to make changes, especially like in government, like in education, to help them access services and work with different organizations. Like there's a lot parents pay, like in therapies. Like if we can access those therapies and work with people, maybe there are many people out there actually, like therapists willing provide services on a voluntary basis. Okay. So if we can have a center where we can like make it our small world, basically, where these children can be dropped off some days, where parents don't have, sometimes you just want a break, where you can drop them off, and you just go and breathe for 3 hours at least, and come and pick them. Where we can have workshops. We don't have to go and pay expensive places to hold our own workshops. Where we can just come and cry together, laugh together, share, because you really need that when you're going through all this. So create our own small world and support these individuals. That's the main, I know it's just a long whatever, but that's the main target, basically, to support such individuals, establish them, like integrate them in the community, in things like employment, to make sure the education they are receiving is based on their capabilities, for example, to help them learn new skills, because these people are very good with technology, such things. That's the whole purpose. Okay. And we're still young. We just we started in May. So hopefully we'll get there eventually.
You started in May
2024. Yeah.
So out there someone could be wondering as to why we are having this kind of discussion, but the entire point of having this kind of discussion is to have someone inspired, have someone inspired. There are so many stories that are going to be featured on this channel, and we shall be telling so many different stories from different parents, from different victims. And so you talked about having two kids that are diagnosed. Yeah. Are they both diagnosed, or
they're both autistic.
They are both autistic. Yeah. So let us start from there. We would love to know your experience when it comes to how you had to find out that your children are actually autistic. How did you find out in the first place?
Let me start from the pre-diagnosis of us finding out that they were autistic. I'm using us because I'm doing this
Yeah,
journey
I
with
understand.
my husband and
Yes.
basically the whole clan, if I may say that. There are many things they say. There are many myths about autism, so that's why I'm going to start from the beginning. I'll just say I had a normal, pregnancy. Some people say it's because you didn't have iron, maybe that's why kids were autistic. I had enough iron. They say maybe you didn't breastfeed, that's why the kids are autistic. I breastfed my kids. So I had a normal pregnancy. I gave birth by C-section, and they were fine. They didn't have any issues.
Okay.
So they are born just like any other kids. You know, the funny thing with autism, you never know. You can't tell.
Yeah.
And they were hitting their milestones like any other kids. So I think around 2 years, when they were 2 years and a half, that's when we started seeing different things. Some of the red flags that and we were first-time parents, so it was very difficult for us to tell. And many people, the biggest problem was one of them was talking. Actually, they were talking, then all of a sudden, it disappeared.
The talking disappeared.
That's part of this disorder, what it does. So there was a lack of delayed speech. They didn't speak early. They delayed to talk. They had no eye contact. Like when you're talking to a child and you're just looking straight in your eyes.
They can't look straight.
They didn't have what they call shared attention. Shared attention is where like you see something like this one and you say, oh wow, look at this glass, and the child looks at it, then you have that shared attention. They didn't have that. You could call their names, they would not look back. Then one of the boys used to line up the objects. That's part of it as well. He used to line up the objects.
Like in a straight line?
Yeah, they always put them in a straight line. And they always like the same objects. They have those what they call intense interests. And there's that what they call repetitive behavior, where they like repeating the same thing. You line up the things, do it over and over and over. If you touch them, then you're in trouble. It's like stuffed animals. They were hyperactive. One of them is very hyperactive, just pacing up and down, running there, going back, running there, going back. What else was very common also? Very picky in eating. They didn't like sweet things, never ate. One of them didn't like fruits. And they want to eat the same thing all the time because they know it's safe. They've tested it. They don't like trying new things. Lack of sleep. One of them struggled to sleep. You take him to sleep. You take long to sleep. Oh my God, the red flags were many, but of course being first-time parents. Then another thing, they started reading at 2 years and a half. They could
reading?
Yeah, they could read and write. Yeah, that was also a red flag because they were ahead of other kids. Then the other one also liked, he had intense interest in letters, alphabet, even up to now. Really good with reading. He used to have, line up all his alphabet things in order. That was in 2 years, meanwhile, 2 years and a half. And then he would hold one item in the hands. Most of the time it would be a hanger. He just hold his hanger and, and the most autistic kids are like that. Those are the red flags that you need to look out sometimes. The red flags are too many. Okay. There are those ones who eat things like non-edible things, but our kids didn't do that. Like they can eat sand, they can eat mud. There are a lot of red flags. So, but of course, being first-time parents, who would say kids are not talking. And people would say, oh, it's because they are boys. It's because they don't have anyone to play with, And they kept derailing us.
What are the myths that were told to you before you actually found out that your children are autistic?
They always say boys take long to talk. That one is very common. And you see the problem with African community, not only here, even abroad. And even when you see what research says, our kids are diagnosed late because we're just lying to ourselves, basically. Okay. And there's this thing they say, now if you say your child is autistic, they're going to put them in the system. It's as if they think the system is the one causing autism. And this is wrong because the earlier you get the diagnosis and what you do, what they call early intervention, which includes therapies like speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral therapy, it makes a lot of change because it's better to start early for any child anyway, whether autistic or not.
Okay.
If you start early, to direct them in the right direction, to correct them where they need support, it makes a difference. Then another thing they would say, Africans were religious. I'm a Christian myself, so most of the time they'll be like, do not accept it.
Okay.
Don't accept it. You refuse it in the name of Jesus. If you confess with your mouth and say, my kids are autistic,
Yeah.
they're good, they'll never talk. Refuse it, my friend, whether you refuse it or not. You need to know that this is a neuro disorder. It's not a disease. That's the one thing people need to. It's not a disease that you are going to cure it. It's the way you are born, because you and me, we are different. The way you do your things is the way I do my thing. It's different from how I do my thing. So it's how someone's brain is wired. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can only teach a child some behaviors, but there are things you can't change of who we are.
Yeah,
so that's who they are. The best thing is accept. Those are some of the myths. Oh, maybe now there's that thing of vaccination. Because the vaccination.
Yeah.
Don't vaccinate your kid, maybe because I don't know that one. Sometimes people say.
Didn't you get some people who were saying those are traditional?
Thankfully, my family, the people close to me, they don't believe in that. But I've had my friends, most of them.
Okay.
Either your pastor will tell you that the whatever. The child, I don't know the whole thing. They have something that
ancestral spirits.
Then there are these oldies who come to your homes and tell you, oh, umwana wale ya muroga. But now the biggest thing, God forgive me and I apologize if I upset anyone. The biggest problem we have is the church. First of all, they don't accept our kids. They don't front them because that shows they fail to cure them.
Yeah.
They waste parents' time saying their kids, they have mpewo. They're wasting their time praying for their kids. Yes, prayers change, but they just derail the parents. Instead of them focusing on doing things which can help the children, they're just there waiting for the miracle.
Because you cannot help yourself.
You pray. Identify what your child is good at, and I think pastors should support that. If they have choirs in church, teach these kids. Some of them are very good musicians. Let people know that the choir is led by an autistic person.
Actually, when you find a kid who can play good instruments, they can actually do it better than even someone who is not diagnosed.
I wish the churches could focus more on supporting the autistic community and other neurodivergent disorders, by the way. Not only autism. Okay. Do more to support who they are, what they are good at, than curing them. Okay. Of course, we want to our kids to do better, but identify, this is just like you and me. We are different. Yeah.
Everyone has their own traits. Yeah.
Yes.
So, that having been said, after you finding out that your children were autistic, what was the situation after, and how did you go through this situation to come to realization that, okay, the truth is I have autistic children.
Yes.
This is how I'm supposed to handle them. This is how, because there are some people who, even after realizing, instead of loving their children, bagenda but rejecting bagenda putting, because even a parent goes into a traumatized form of situation. Yeah. So you, as a parent who has two autistic children, what was the situation like after you finding out that you have autistic children?
The funny thing is, for us, we did our own diagnosis, by the way, before, because in the UK it's just a long process. Now that's a whole problem on its own.
Okay.
Because first of all, you need to get the child assessed and to get an appointment for assessment. And not only one profession assesses the child. You get the child psychologist, you get a speech and language therapist, You have to get an occupational therapist. You have to get a pediatrician, and all of them have to agree. They all have to do an assessment. Then
they agree that the
now
child is autistic.
getting those people, it took like I think 2 years, 2 years only or 3, waiting for the diagnosis.
Okay.
But the good thing, like London has different what they call boroughs, like how you see, maybe if you can call them like districts. They have different ways of doing things. So we're so lucky that the borough we're in, as soon as the kid is delayed, as soon as they know the kid has delayed development, they start supporting you. Like they train, what they started with was training us as parents. But before I go to that, before we went to the training and asking for assessment, first of all, we had noticing these things, and we went Google as usual.
Google is your friend.
Let's go to Google. I would put in the first of all, there's like an app I used to follow. From when I was pregnant, they would say, this month it should be it should be this, you should be feeling like this, this like that. When the kids were born, at 2 months I should be doing this. At 3 months, when we go to that stage when they are supposed to be talking, should be saying mommy, daddy, the app was not working. I could see they were not hitting those milestones. So as a parent, you get concerned. And that's when you start telling people, you ask them, my kid is not doing this. Then you can see the kids who were born at the same time, they are hitting their milestones, but yours are not.
Yeah.
And the good thing in UK, when you have a child, there are nurses that come and keep assessing the kid.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that time we were moving towards COVID, so people were not coming. That's where the problem started from. So as parents, we started seeing things. And I remember one time my husband took one of the boys to hospital. And the guys, I think the doctor mentioned something, that there's something not adding up about this child. As a parent, you've been on Google, you've seen things. So now you start thinking, maybe that day in my heart, I was like, my child is this. The first one was easy to diagnose, to get to understand. The first one was like, this one, there's something not adding up. But there are many disorders that look like autism. So you keep hoping for the best. So when my husband came back and said, a doctor said this, and I Googled, I said, this might be autism. Then when we went for assessment to see if they're hitting their milestones, the lady was also concerned. She said, "No, what? You need to enroll these kids in school." So when we enrolled them, now you could see the difference. Other kids would come and they would show them where to keep their books. They would come and say, "You put your books there, you do this." They would follow instructions. My kids were not following instructions. Instead, they were just, you enter, one is pulling you this side, one is running the other side, another one is climbing on the table. This gives headache to the to the teachers. They used to make them run around like crazy. Then, of course, when you start school, now you know how it is abroad. Someone doesn't come to you and say, "Hey, good, I think your kid might be autistic." No. They know parents that can cause problems for you. They do it in a professional way. So they could see they were not at the same level as us. So now they start preparing you. They arrange a meeting and they say, "We think your kids need some assessment. Maybe they might need some support in language because they are behind. They are a bit different from other kids." For me, the good thing for me, I don't have mpaka. When they said we need to assess these kids, already in my head I was already thinking there's something wrong. I was like, okay, you go ahead and do it. But my husband was hesitant. So that's how it all started. It started, they start asking you questions, assessing, and then the council comes in. They started coming and telling us what to do to help them develop their speech, the things you can do. That time they did another thing that they had delayed was using a potty. Actually, that one, most of the autistic parents, that's the nightmare.
They can't help themselves.
No, they can, but because they can't follow instructions, most of them, it's so difficult for them to master that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was so difficult. So they were saying, you need to. They started training us. You do all courses, and the good thing with in UK, I don't know other boroughs, but our borough, they would not assess your child and put them on government support unless you've done certain courses. You have to know how to communicate with your kids. We had to do toileting course. We had to do, and my God, it opened my eyes.
How long do these courses take you to study? In case if there is need to do so.
For those courses, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to do it professionally, like service providers, I don't know how long it takes, but they are designed different programs
For a parent,
for
like
parents and for teachers, things like that. So you can do different courses every day. You can, for example, they don't teach you in details, but like one day you can learn, for example, how to train a child to use a potty. Another day you can learn about sensories for children, why they act the way they do. Like some kids can't tolerate light, noise. That's why you see them overwhelmed, overstimulated, and melting down. Those are very, very important. Like sensories, you have to learn them. So you can do one each day.
Okay.
Then there's another course I did, which was the best, I think. And I would want to do such a thing in this country. Like every parent to access that. There's what they call early bird in UK. It's supported by the Autism Society. So they teach you from A to Z. What is autism? How do you communicate with your kid? How do you know your kid is like this? It just opens your eyes. You understand your child, and you stop looking at them like strangers. You like somehow they help you get in their mind, their life. Now you realize you as a parent, you are not a victim. It's all about your children.
Okay.
It's all about this person who is struggling to fit in the community that is not accepting them.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about these children and what you can do to support them. And
yes.
Live a comfortable and meaningful life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, after you finding out,
after we found
out, you had to go through all that to learn a few courses to understand how to handle these children. Then after that, like, how is life like with your children? Like after going through all that situation.
Actually, now I haven't even spoken about what we went through. Now this is when the nightmare starts. You found out about your kids that they are different, and this is a lifetime condition. You can't change anything. Most parents will struggle with acceptance. First of all, even the developed countries we are thinking about, I see many people say, maybe if I was in UK, maybe my child would be better off. No, it's even worse. Because now the schools where they were going, nursery was okay, they were inclusive and they tolerated the kids. Now they started the primary school. Kids would not sit down. They would just run out of class. They would interrupt the teachings. So every few minutes, you'd get a call, come and pick your child. Take them to school. Take them home. Your child has beaten someone because, like, one of them can't deal with sound properly. So, like, they would ring a bell and it would mess him up. It would just, because it's too loud for him because of his sensory processing issues. So it would just, he would get very irritated and maybe scratch someone or bite someone. You don't know how many meetings we went to. We got to the point they said they are going to chase the kids from the school. First of all, they limited them how many hours they must be in school. Other kids would have come to school. Me, I'm coming like 2 hours after every child has reached.
After everyone has come to school, then
you bring your kids later on because they are disruptive, because they are this. That one is tormenting as a child, as a parent.
As a parent, yeah.
Then I remember there was one time they had a concert. They wouldn't include them.
Why? Because
it's going to mess up the show. And then they invited us. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're not going to include my kid, why? That was the most hard thing actually I went through at that time. Then you have parents who are looking at you like an idiot. I just, you hear kids saying, these boys have bad manners. People don't educate themselves. Even parents looking at them now is beaten someone's kid. Maybe they are calling you for a meeting. Maybe their parent is threatening to sue. And now there's a war between the council and the school. The school wants money, the council to pay them, so that they look for facilities. They look for someone, what they call one-on-one. Bring an extra teacher to look after the kid. The council doesn't want to release the money. Now the school want to punish them and say, no, okay, you can't find us an extra person, leave the kid at home.
Let the kid
you don't know how many times I had to take my kids at home. And meanwhile, you are alone. My husband had to go to work. We couldn't both work. So you are alone. You have kids who are so bored, who are so destructive and want to run. Like one of them, there's what they call eloping. That it's like what happened recently. It's very common in Uganda now. They would just use every opportunity, find any window open and run away. Now you have to deal with all that. They are chasing them from the school. You have to look for what they call special schools. But the council has to decide. It's not like here in Uganda where you say, let me wake up and find my child at school and go and pay. Even if you wanted to pay, you don't get that place. So that was a fight now. Now, if you are not strong enough, actually people say when I found out my kid was autistic, I cried. Or,
Did you cry?
I took it in small doses. Because, you see, the thing was, I was so focused on fighting for the best services for my children.
Like you literally wanted a solution.
So I didn't have time to quake over this. I wish I had, which is difficult. Maybe one day it will break me down. Because for me, what I was doing was fighting from one problem to another. My husband would be calling this organization, I would be calling this organization. Eventually, we got an organization that threatened to sue the school.
Okay.
Do you know the school changed and denied everything they were doing to us? So now they accepted the kids, they reduced their hours, we kept fighting. Now we started fighting the council to find the right school. So now autism has levels. There are these kids who have severe autism. Sometimes they may never talk, they may have issues with physical, they would have physical disabilities, maybe they can't walk. So it has different levels. These ones who are head banging, that one is how do they call them? How they present. Kids present in different ways. There are some who are violent, there are some who are not violent, there are some who have epilepsy, like different things.
Yeah.
So now that if you don't fight and you are not involved 100%, they will put your kid in a lower level. That means, for example, if they're teaching them academically, they are those ones who may never read or write.
Okay.
So if you don't fight and go in these schools and refuse, they give you this one, you refuse. So now we're fighting with the council to allocate us the right schools that we wanted. So it was always fighting with the school, meanwhile, even the house, they were chasing us.
Why? Wait, you're being chased at school?
You're being chased from the house?
Chased from the house?
The council is not giving you the school. Meanwhile, the council maybe are not even giving you options of the school.
Was it the community chasing you as well?
The community, actually, the charities, what they call charities, helped out. There was one charity. And now the funny thing is, when you go to look for help, there are many charities with a lot of money. But what do they give you? For example, they say, I'm a lawyer, so I knew the law. They would send you to the law. Oh, look at the Child's Act, look at the Equality Manyawate. You go there and read the section. It says, kids shall not be segregated because of this and that. Now I would ask them a question. Okay, you're saying your kids should not be chased from the school. But they are chasing them. What do you want me to do? Where do I go? Should I go to the police and get the police like here and come and say, you can't chase my kid?
Yeah.
No one is there to implement the law. And the schools are doing whatever they want to do. So for me, that was the fight, and I was not going to stop. I called everyone. I involved the MP. I involved the head of the healing council.
In UK.
Everyone knew me, to the point some people really, I remember there was a lady who was overwhelmed. And she could understand my stress. The one who was trying to get them to schools, and the council was refusing. To the point she had to resign. Because it was too much. You know, when you see a parent is justified, and what you're doing is not fair.
Yeah.
To the point that someone else who was not a mother to our kids, had to resign her job. That's how bad it is. Because others will tell you, you're not the only one who's suffering. You're not the only one who have autistic kids. So that was the fight, and I had no time to sit down there and cry like other people. And then you don't get diagnosis. Meanwhile, they got diagnosis when they were like 5.
Okay. How old are they now?
7.
Okay.
And we were there. If you don't get what they call health and education care, you don't get a school. You don't go to special schools. They are chasing you from what they call, how do they call them? mainstream, and then you're not getting a school. So those were our struggle. Then the rejection. Then you would go to the park to play. And you know why every parent is just feeling like this? Your child is just all over the place. Maybe putting someone's drink, maybe just doing all the
They should they always be doing something somewhere.
Yes, that's
They
why
make sure they're busy somewhere.
they don't know, like someone can be swinging and they just come and pass in front of them and someone hits them. They'll just find like a little kid like this, with a bicycle. Maybe they'll push them off the bicycle and take the bicycle, Yeah, that just all the time on walking. Yeah. A lot of things
They're
really
always busy.
that we went through. And then now you have other people. Now they know your kid maybe is autistic. Now you have wrong advice.
Let us go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the life after finding out that she has autistic kids. And also, we shall be talking about a few other challenges that she has faced. But for now, all I want you to do is press the subscription button, tap on the bell so that you can get notifications every time we upload a video.